I'm gonna give all honor and all praise to the Most High, Yahweh, by Shema Mashiach, Yahweh Shai, in these last days. This is Ariel from WFI Los Angeles, and I just want to give all honor and all praise to the Most High for these last days. And when I say last days, like we always say, man, hey, we really talking about the last days, the end of the world, the end of all things that you once knew is fading away. All right. So as these times slowly approach, we see the changing of the guards. As these times slowly approach, we see the changing of the guards and the removing of the kings of this modern society to be pushed off the power seat. All right. So what we're looking at right now is just the beginning of sorrows, man. Not for us, unless you have broken the covenant, commandments, and the faith of Yahweh Shai. Hey, man, we are in a pathway of success, spiritually speaking. All right, so I want to hit a few scriptures. Now, there's an uproar going on in Europe right now. All right, there's an uproar going on in Europe, and we're gonna put a few videos out there, about two videos, this one and the other. But I just wanted to show that we're looking at the changing of the guards and the removing of the king of this modern society, man, of the king of the power seat. All right, so let's get the book of Daniel real quick before we go any further. Let's get the book of Daniel real quick through the spirit. All right, and we live in exciting times through the spirit. All right, this is the book of Daniel, chapter 2 and verse 12. No, Salaki, chapter 2 and verse 21. And he changed the times and the seasons. He removed kings. Now, what does that mean? He changed times and the seasons, and he removes kings. He's talking about the removing or the changing of the guards and the removing of the king that sits on the power seat of the world, who speaks for the world, who has been the police of the world, who has been the moral standard of the world, who has been the image of the world, is he that sits on the power seat of the world, right? So the Lord is literally saying, hey, times when the Most High starts to shift things and move people out of certain positions and high places, all right, that's when the Lord is telling us, hey, when you see these signs, know that there's a time coming where things going to change fully. All right, so with that, well, let me continue, and then we can play this video, because this is an uproar over in Europe. Now, Europe has been the hub center for Europeans, the Edomite Europeans, not the Moorish Europeans who have got conquered and thrown into various areas in the midst of transatlantic slave trade and things of that nature. We're not talking about them. All right, we're talking about the Edomites who took rulership, after the Moorish Empire, who majority of them were Israelites, pertaining to rulership in that time. All right, but of course we had different other dark complected groups as well under that Moorish banner, but far as rulership goes, majority of the people that was ruling before the 1400s who were dark complected people were Israelites. All right, King James was an Israelite. You had even certain musicians and pianists that is renowned upon this earth today. Hey, you get into that history, a lot of them were Israelites. Beethoven, some of the major poets. So, Europe has a lot of history of our people, but also a lot of history of the Edomite kingdoms that reside there as well, the Greeks Alexander the Goat. All right, you had the 12 emperors of Rome. All right, so now we're looking and we're fast forwarding into time, and now we are looking at white society, or white glory, so to speak, is being put to shame, man. All right, white glory is being put to shame, man, and all praises because of it, right? All praise because of it. Hey, they proclaim themselves to be the king of the world and the God of this earth. And now the people of the earth complaining about this man on the power seat, and now they want to point at those that, just been under their rulership. Now they want to complain about they want to complain about society. You can't blame anything that anybody does that's not in a power seat. Should not be blamed for anything that goes on, whether it's border control and all these things that they speaking of. Hey, we're not in the power seat to make these moves like you have been, Esau. So give me a second real quick. Salaki. The changing of the guards. That's what we're looking at. And we're looking at the glory of the oppressor being turned to shame. And all praise because of it. All right, so look. Let's get into this video real quick. All right. So the removing of the kings. Let's read Daniel chapter 2 and verse 21 again. And he changed the times and the seasons. He removed kings and set up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding. And we have obtained that wisdom. The babes of this world in the Lord, hey, we have obtained that wisdom, and now we grow in stature and have favor among the Most High and with men. All right, so let's get into this thing, man. All right, this is the downfall, and this is the downfall of the Edomite race, who has been on the power seat.
Tonight, violence and vitriol on the streets of the United Kingdom.
Now, if brothers and sisters can see the full screen, let me know. If you can't, then I'll have to fix it up.
Targeting migrants and mosques in an ugly eruption of anti-immigrant sentiment. For more than a week, riots breaking out in city after city. Cars torched in northeast England. Fires raging in Belfast in Northern Ireland. This hotel used to house...
Now, there's a specific point I want to kind of point at. Now, if you look at the bottom of the screen, it says far-right riots break out across the UK. All right, so far-right riots break out. What is he talking about? What is the far-right? That's the alt-right. The far-right are the alt-right people. And the alt-right people are the Edomites, who are, I would say, more so with a patriot supremacist mindset, Edomite supremacy, right? They have a mindset of their forefathers, and their mindset is to get back to that, because that's how they got the world. That's how they overtook the world, through the mind of their forefathers. All right, they honor the mighty mans of Esau, like Alexander the Great. All right, like the 4 or the 12 emperors of Rome. Right, they honor these men. If you look at some of these kingdoms today, these European kingdoms today, hey, some of these men have statues of Alexander in their house, or in their palaces, in the White Houses, and they honor this man because he's the one that ushered in white superiority, right? And now we fast forward in the day, and we're looking at the crumbling. Hey, what Yahweh Shai say? A house divided will never stand. All right. So the far right, the far right are the white supremacists that's saying no. We have a theology, and our theology is to overtake this world. Or Salaki, they already overtook the world. Not to overtake the world, but to maintain the status that has already been, which their forefathers have overtook. All right, so the alt-right people are the far rights. These are white supremacists, man. All right, and I want to touch on that because this is very important, because I'm gonna touch on the old video where we had the alt-rights out here in America. Now this is in Europe, so the alt-rights out here in America will be a different type of will they have a different type of mindset as the ones in Europe, or are they on the same type of time? It's like the Israelites today. We on the same type of time, whether we in Europe, whether we are in different islands, and we on the same type of time. So you have a opposite opponent that thinks otherwise, or think well, I would say they think alike. Their mindset is similar to ours, but they're doing it for their kingdom. They're doing it to maintain their kingdom that's already established on the earth. We're doing it to possess the kingdom that will be established on the earth through the spirit of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai being the ruler and the king that's coming on this earth, bringing forth judgment, right? And bringing order to this earth, because it's nothing but chaos through the rulership of the Edomites.
Asylum seekers set ablaze. More than 400 arrests so far, including nearly 150 just this weekend. Police warning the number will rise.
I can confirm today we have seen at least 12 of our officers injured, with items such as brick fence posts, branches, and other missiles thrown at them.
Authorities blaming much of the violence on far-right extremist groups, some with neo-Nazi ties.
You hear that? Neo-Nazi ties. Right? Most of these shootings in America with Edomites coming into stores, churches, houses, their mindset is on the time that we're looking at right now, the neo-Nazi type of time. That's the majority of them. I mean, they'll tell you in the court, oh, I was led and I was driven away by some of the alt-right, teachings and things of that. And then, they want to apologize. And, and then when Jake hear Edomite apologize, they heart breaks and they want to, be forgiven and all that. I would say this, we are a forgiving people, and I can kind of see that as well. We have mercy, but see, when you understand the truth and we understand these scriptures correctly, we understand that the Most High has enemies. The Most High has enemies, and his enemies are on this earth. And those who are his enemies are those who are destroying, attempting to destroy, want to overtake the apple of the Lord's eyes, who are the Israelites.
Prime Minister Keir Starmer on the job only a month, vowing to deploy the full force of the law.
Whatever the apparent motivation, this is not protest. It is pure violence. And we will not tolerate attacks on mosques or our Muslim communities.
Communities now living in fear.
Muslim people, we're not terrorists. That's how I feel like. I feel like we're being threatened. It's not safe.
Amid the chaos, counter-protesters pushing back. Why is this happening? The immediate trigger, the murder last week of 3 young girls in a horrific stabbing spree. In the hours after, far-right provocateurs posted disinformation on social media, claiming the suspect was an immigrant in the UK illegally. It went viral, but it wasn't true. Authorities say the suspect is a 17-year-old born in the UK.
Social media clearly put rocket boosters under some of the organisation, the inflaming attentions, and also the misinformation. So we will be pursuing this with the social media companies.
But immigration has increasingly been a flashpoint in the UK, with huge numbers of asylum seekers arriving in small boats.
There's asylum seekers. This is what I'm saying. as Esau rules this earth, his skirt is being lifted up according to Isaiah chapter 40. Let me pull that out real quick. 47. His skirt is being lifted up, and people are seeing that this man can't control nobody on this planet no more. All right. His glory has faded away. This is why I put on the thumbnail, the title. His glory is fading away, right? And everybody's trying to reestablish themselves outside of this man's control. Because why? Esau is all about control. So you got all these different, different people moving and migrating throughout all the earth. They're going all over. But notice they all coming to Europe, to America. Why? Because America, Europe, the wicked West have stolen all the resources, and they're coming back to reclaim that. That's what's really going on. All right. Whether you're going from Mexico, where our people is at, whether you're going from Africa, different parts of Africa, they have went all over the earth, stole all the resources, gathered all the resources and put it in their own lands, so to speak, and expect everybody to live and be successful as these different European countries are. Madness, man. So we're going to really get into this thing, man. We showing the downfall of the so-called white man. He's being brought down through the spirit of Mashiach Yahushua, man. All right. So this is Isaiah chapter 47. Straight to the point. Verse 2 and 3. Take the millstone and grind meal. Unlock thy locks. Uncover thy locks. Make bare the leg. Uncover the thigh. Pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. Right? And one of the plagues that the Most High is sending, because Salaki, we got to go back to the time of Egypt. All right, this is the difference between all the other kingdoms that the Israelites has been in. There's a difference between all the ones that we formerly was captive in versus Egypt and Babylon the Great. All right, there's two different between the ones in the middle versus the one at the beginning and the one at the end. Because the one at the beginning was Egypt. The one at the end is America and the wicked West, right? And these two, well, let's go back to the first one. The first one got plagued personally by the Most High. All the others in the middle was invaded by different nations, which was also, motivated by the Most High and through prophecy. But nevertheless, the Most High really destroyed Egypt. Egypt never became the kingdom that it once was after the Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai was done with it. And likewise with America. One of the plagues of today, as it was Egypt, so shall America and the wicked West be. Let's go to Jeremiah real quick. Jeremiah, let's see here. I think it's 51 or it's 50. Let's get it real quick, man. Yep. Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 14. The Lord of hosts has swore by himself, saying, surely I will fill thee with men as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a shout against you. And that's what we're seeing. The Lord is sending men to these specific areas, and he's sending them, he's flooding them like caterpillars, man. Like locust. Hey, think about caterpillars, locusts. Hey, they eat up everything. They eat up the resources that once was. Like Egypt. When the Lord sent these different creatures and these different bugs, frogs, and all, hey, it was messing up the food economy or the food industries. It messed up the water industries in Egypt. It messed up, it messed up everything. The crops, everything that was connected that made Egypt an empire has been was brought down in the time of Egypt. in the time of Pharaoh. All right. So likewise, we seeing it today. So you seeing all these different immigrant groups, whether it's our people or not, they're being sent to these different places to flood this area, right? To flood this area and make the so-called white man feel the same way as the Gadites, the Issacharites felt when they first came over here to America. They flood America with Edomites. And now they're feeling the same thing, not just over here in America, but also in Europe. All right, so let's get it.
How do you feel as a Brit when you see what's taking place in this country?
Ashamed. Ultimately, I think it's the one word, ashamed.
Yeah.
It's not how 99% of Britain feel. I think it's just a really small minority.
Tonight, with the cleanup underway, painful questions about what kind of a nation the UK wants to be. There are no signs that these
All praises, man. Well, hold on.
riots are calming down.
There is no sign that these riots are coming down, man. Because they're not going to calm down. The Lord says, I'm going to harden their hearts to make them rebel even more so. You know what I'm saying? When you get into Isaiah 19, it says the brothers are going to be fighting each other. What you think the Civil War was about? There was brothers fighting over Jake, man. That's all it was. They was fighting over us. It was not for us. It was over us. All right. The South was being rich off the oppression and the North wasn't. And their economy start to decline while, you know, the South, their economy start to boom. You know, cotton, these different things. He said, the South said, I need my slaves. Right? So this is the agenda, man. Why? And another thing about, you know, the Civil War, soon as that great split happened, like Europe will happen pretty soon. Soon as that great split happened, then you had the reconstruction of America. And now you got this heavy politics of Democrat and Republican. Everything started over us. Over us, not for us, but over us. All right, so let's continue. But I want to touch on this right here. It says alt-right, right? Let's move back. It says far-right riots breaks out across the UK, right? Now, that's the reason why I keep saying this, because it's the alt-right mentality. They mindset, they got a specific philosophy and a doctrine that they hold dear to. And it's called a replacement theology. Replacement theology. They feel like they being replaced. Right? So let's go to, real quick, another video through the Spirit.
In May 2022.
Now, you see this right here? It says the replacement conspiracy inspiring mass shootings, which is in America. Also, you remember the mass shooting over there in New Zealand. These are all white men who the Most High put that spirit on them to go back to their forefathers' ways, man. It's in them, man. They can't pretend. They can act righteous. They can act churchy. All right. They can act political, but inside that man is that colonizer. Inside that man is that individual that laid out all the Gadites and burned them alive. Inside that man in that heart, all right, is the same individual, same spirit that lynched so-called Negroes all through America. All right, that burned Issachar alive right in front of their moms and pops. Yes, the man of sin. All right, so we missed this with that. So we're going to go back. Now, this is about 3 years ago. You remember the Buffalo shooting in New York? This man had a whole blueprint of the whole store that he's about to go in before he even got into it. Right? And if you go even deeper into that story, the security guard was an inventor, and he was inventing cars that move off water instead of gas. Look that up. They killed that man. He was the first one that got killed. He was the security guard of that specific store. The guy went over there a day or two before he made his move. All right, and this is a young man, young Edomite. But what we got to realize is, as I said before, Esau, whether young or not, they spirit, once that spirit reacts to, or once that spirit wakes them up, hey, they got to go. It's just like us on a righteous level. Once that spirit woke up the Israelites, we couldn't sit on the couch no more. We had to go. We had to get in the spirit. We had to understand the law, statutes, commandments. We had to understand how this faith worked. We had to understand how what righteousness is and how to move in it. We had to understand the politics of this Israelite thing. We had to understand. Likewise with them on the left-hand side of things. So let's play this thing.
In May 2022, a domestic terrorist murdered 10 black people at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York.
The alleged shooter wearing full body armor and tactical gear, targeting people of color.
This is an absolute racist hate crime.
They're reviewing a 180-page manifesto reportedly written by the shooter, where he describes his perceptions about the dwindling size of the white population.
The attack was
The dwindling size of the Edomite population. Let's get a precept on that, man. We got to be in the spirit when you hearing these things, man. You got to. You got to pull precepts out. You got to really hear what these people saying, man. Why? Because words are spirits, as the Lord said himself, man. Words are spirits. All right, so let's get Obadiah real quick. They feel like they're dwindling. And they're going to keep feeling like that, man. Why? Because the Most High is showing us that he has removed them off the power seat. All right, it's just a facade now. You're not even on the power seat no more. You just think you are. You want to manipulate and influence everybody to think that you still on that power seat as well. You know, that's all they doing. They know they off that power seat, man. They've been off that power seat, right? This is some of the methods they use: intimidation, manipulation. No, so like, let me reverse that. Manipulation, if that don't work, intimidation, and if that don't work, domination. All right? Manipulation, intimidation, domination. That's how they work. That's how they keep the world under the palms of their hands. Right? This is Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. Right? So as he says, let's run that back through the spirit.
Reviewing a 180-page manifesto reportedly written by the shooter, where he describes his perceptions about the dwindling size of the white population.
The attack was followed by
the dwindling size of the Edomite population. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. Right? So like I said, they're being removed. Now we got to understand that Esau, when you get into the scriptures and go into history of Esau, he was given a blessing to rule that has an expiration date. All right, pursuant to yeah, that's right. Shalom to my brothers and my sisters, man. All right. Hey, pursuing to Genesis chapter 27, 39 to 40. Let's pull that out real quick, man. All right. We have to understand, man. All right. Esau has been in rulership for a certain amount of period of time, and it was all based off prophecy. The Lord raised them up to bring them down in the end. All praise to the Lord. All right, so this is Genesis chapter 27 and verse 30. Now we know that, it was Isaac who was given a blessing to Jacob, or he mistakenly gave it to Jacob when it was really supposed to be Esau, because Esau is the older brother. But when you on God's time and his prophecies and his will, none of the older brothers got the blessing. Always the younger brothers did. All right. You had Ishmael, who's the older brother, but Isaac got the blessing. Jacob was the younger brother. Oh, Salaki. Esau was the older brother. Jacob got the blessing. Hey, if we go, hey, like the scripture says, you have the first Adam, you have the last Adam, right? You know, you had Ferris. Well, what's that one? Jacob's son? No, not Salaki, not Jacob's son. Judah's son, where they tied that red velvet rope or cloth over one of the sons, and he brought his hand back in, and then the other son came out, but then the second one that had that red cloth on him, he came out afterwards. Right? This is how the Lord works, man. The Lord don't work on our time nor our understanding. He says his ways are higher than ours, and the water that it is. So let's get this prophecy where the Lord gave Jacob the blessing over Esau. Nevertheless, at a certain period of time, by way of prophecy, he was going to have a specific blessing of world rulership, but with an expiration date. All right, and that word, well, let me keep going first, and I'll go back to that. This is Genesis chapter 27 and verse 39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. Right? So when you get into Genesis chapter 27, verse 39, that blessing that was given to Jacob, you know, that's a blessing of world rulership in righteousness. That was the Lord's intentional plan to pass that specific heritage down from the father to the son, all the way down to the 12 tribes of Israel, so they can possess that specific blessing, world rulership in righteousness. Nevertheless, because Esau came back and found out that Jacob had already took the blessing, he cried and he weep like he usually do. Hebrews chapter 12. He cried and he weep for a blessing, and he gave it to him. What did Esau or Salaki? What did Isaac give Esau after he already gave up the blessing to Jacob? He gave him the leftovers of what Jake already had. Jake have not even experienced the power that's about to be given to us pretty soon, if we stay in the spirit and stay faithful. Now look at this. He says, Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. So that's from the first heavens all the way to the ground, to the seas. It's controlled by whoever the Most High give that specific blessing to. Because if you go into the spirit of it, hey, Nebuchadnezzar had that same type of power. All right. He had power over the ground, over the earth. He had power over the waters, over the fowls of the air. He was given that power. Right. Then he moved that king and gave it to somebody else. That's world rulership. That's what an empire do. All right. So let's keep going. It says, verse 40. And by thy sword shall thy live. So you're going to get this specific blessing. He's talking to Esau. He says you're going to get this specific blessing by thy sword. Right? You're going to get this blessing by thy sword. He says, and by thy sword shall thy live. And we know Esau overtook the world by the sword. And shall serve thy brother. All right. And that's going to the time when King David and Solomon was ruling. All right, which was an 80-year expansion of rulership for the Israelites. Right? You had different kingdoms that was ruling for 1,000 years, 1,500, 500, right? But Jacob's seed only ruled for 80 years, man, in peace. Partially peace too. He says, and by thy sword shall thy live, and shall serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion. So he says, hey, it's gonna come to a time when that power that was given to the Israelites, because of their disobedience, they're going to fall, and then you're going to rise up. He's telling Esau this. When thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Right? And that's what happened. So once that yoke of arm was broken, that power, because you got to think about it, when David was in power, he put a garrison over the whole land of Esau, Mount Seir. David did not like Edomites. We see that in the book of Psalms, chapter 130, was it 37? We see that, man. David did not like Edomites. And now we see why David did not like Edomites, because guess what? Hey, David was a prophet. You don't think David seen what we looking at every day, our people being bad, our people being smashed down by the police and things of that nature? Hey, if you read the book of Psalms chapter 10 slowly, you'll see that that's literally police brutality. You know what I'm saying? Zechariah 11 as well. It's talking about us. Let's keep going though. 41, and Esau hated Jacob. Hey, note that in your mind. Esau hated Jacob because, this is why he hated Jacob, because of the blessing. See that? Wherewith his father blessed him. Right? So we got to understand the spiritual aspects, which we all know, the spiritual aspects of what's really going on, and why these people, why these Edomites are trying to take us out, or not, Salaki, not trying to, but taking us out, picking us off. All right. We had the sister that got, unalive by Edomite, and hey, man, the dude shot her dead in her face, man. That's how they look at you, man. You just a bullet face. You're just a bullet shot to the head every time they look at you. So when the Edomite smile, think about that. You a shot to the face. All right. But let's keep going.
Pressingly familiar round of platitudes about thoughts and prayers, as well as the usual series of arguments and evasions around gun control in America.
The 18-year-old terrorist who stormed into my community armed with an AR-15, killing 10 people and injuring 3 others, received a shotgun from his parents for his 16th birthday.
Do you hear this? Received a shotgun from his parents at the age of 16. That's the gift that the Edomites give their kids. Weapons. Why? Hey, we just read it. And by thy sword shall thy live, because they was blessed with the sword, man. All right. Ain't nobody can outdo Esau in his own weaponry, man. All right. That's why, Jake, we don't need, our weapon is the word of Mashiach Yahawashi, and we rip them apart with it. But once we start going into his blessing, hey, ultimately you're going to be destroyed, man. Now, if you want to use it just to wear them off, to get up out of there, when Jacob trouble kick off, you happen to have some just to wear off the Edomites or different nations, even our people that's wicked. All right, I can understand that. But don't make that a god, or don't rely on that thing. That thing, and matter of fact, Esau's weaponry, hey, it brings all manners of spirits when you're dealing with it. When I was in the world, hey, that, soon as I had that thing, all manner of different spirits came with it. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep going. Let's run that back, man. This is very important what this sister is saying.
The attack was followed by the depressingly familiar round of platitudes about thoughts and prayers, as well as the usual series of arguments and evasions around.
one more thing, Salaki. The reason why I'm playing this and I'm playing this back because of what we seen, that riot that's happening in Europe is an alt-right, far-right philosophy that's being pushed over there, that's getting these Edomites stirred up. All right, they getting stirred up and they watching America Edomites getting it popping. So they're like, hey man, we got to do what our brothers is doing in America. We talking about the alt-right people. We talking about the white supremacist people, the neo-Nazis and these different groups that's out here. They ain't over there in Europe doing the same thing. Hey, they said over there at that in that specific riot, when that riot happened, they was literally saying, if you're not white, hey, we taking you out. You know what I'm saying? Like they turned up over there. Don't, you know, the media is not showing that. All right, you got to really search and look, and you'll find out. Hey, we got brothers all in Europe, man. We got Israelites all in Europe, brothers and sisters. All right, so hey, the Watchmen is all over the earth.
Gun control in America.
The 18-year-old terrorist who stormed into my community armed with an AR-15, killing 10 people and injuring 3 others, received a shotgun from his parents for his 16th birthday.
In rural Colorado, an AR-15 is a gun of choice for killing raccoons before they get to our chickens.
But what's often been missing from the discussion around this shooting is how it neatly fits into a pattern of white supremacist terror attacks directly inspired by the Christchurch mosque massacres of 2019. This is how racist conspiracy theory and emerging tech platforms have combined to create the template for a chilling new form of gamified, live-streamed far-right terror.
And this morning, we're getting an exclusive look at the moment the shooter was arrested and the warning signs that were missed.
Investigators are going to be pouring through multiple online posts that this alleged shooter made.
Before his attack, the Buffalo shooter released a manifesto on Discord, largely centered around a conspiracy theory known as the Great Replacement, a fantasist notion that there's a shadowy plot to replace white people in Europe and the US with non-white immigrants.
Forced mass immigration, population replacement, diversity quotas, and lies about white privilege and how only white people can be racist.
Obvious truths about the ongoing program of genocide against my race.
Predictably, the people supposedly running this plot are the Jews.
Jews will not replace us! Jews will not replace us!
Now, I would like to call this what they call it this has a double meaning, a conundrum. So it's 2 meanings to this right here. Look what they're saying. Jews will not replace us. Now, we know they're talking about the synagogue of Satan because the banking system and many other things got them controlling the earth right now. All right, so I can see that, but then there's a deeper meaning as well when he's saying Jews shall not replace us. Who are they talking about? The true Jews. I'm talking about their spirit is saying that, man. All right, their spirit is going to be saying that even in the kingdom, or not in the kingdom, but before the kingdom, when Jacob trouble come, that's going to stir them up, man. Because at the end of the day, yeah, they may have Edomite enemies as well. But they're going to always look at Jake, man. They're going to always look at Jake. They're going to be focused on what Jake doing. So while they going to war with their brothers, their eyes are still on Jake. They trying to figure out how can I shoot Jake while I'm aiming at this other nation, which is my brothers. That's their mindset, man. All right, so Jews shall not replace us. So this is the replacement theology that they've been. Now we know, now we got replaced. All right, we got replaced. That replacement theology, I kind of wanted to pull up. Let me see if I can find this thing. Well, I'll look at it. There's something in the Christianity world. It's called replacement theology, right? And the replacement theology on a religious spectrum is basically the church has replaced Israel. Okay, the blessings and all the covenants that was given to Israel is now been replaced with the church. Now the church take that place and the Israelites just mingled amongst the church. But for the most part, the Lord don't have that specific bloodline that he chosen anymore. Now the church is that blood through the blood of Christ. Now the church is that blood, and Israel has been replaced. Now that's the theology that's being on the spiritual spectrum. That's what they're saying. Now on a physical spectrum, we see what they're saying. Right now, we already been replaced. You got so-called Jews that's in our land, in our heritage, in our birthright today, acting like us. All right, they get billions over there. And now when you look at what they're talking about, when you think about, replacement theology on the Christianity spectrum, now we see why billions of dollars are being thrown to these so-called Jews to keep the lie going. To keep the lie going. They paying billions upon billions, reparations for from the Germans, for the Holocaust, reparations from America, all right, reparations from Christianity, saying that they're the Jews. They're paying billions and billions to keep the lie going. Because the moment the lie is exposed and the truth comes out, by force, you have to remove yourself out of the land.
The Great Replacement conspiracy theory has been doing the rounds since around 1916, when it was proposed by the American lawyer and eugenicist Madison Grant. It resurfaced.
Now I'll look this man up. Let me try to pull him up. I'll look this man up. Give me a second. I'll look this devil up. I don't know if y'all can see that. It's crooked. I'll just read it. Since you probably can't see this. But it says Madison Grant. This is who he's talking about. Madison Grant was an American lawyer, anthropologist, and writer known for his work as a conservationist, eugenicist, and advocate of scientific racism. Right? And this is his book, The Passing of the Great Race. And he's a eugenicist, man. He's a eugenicist. Let's get back to that. He's a eugenicist, man. You know what I'm saying? This is what this man is. He's a eugenicist, man. All right? And a eugenicist, Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist. Bill Gates' father, eugenicist. And they all got the same philosophy. Exterminate the wheats who are Israelites. Right? So it's always been about extermination of the Israelites, because they know our existence is a witness to their destruction and our future kingdom rising up. Every time they see a Jake, that's what every time they see a so-called Black, Hispanic, or indigenous people of this earth, we are a reminder that the kingdom of heaven is coming, and the demise and downfall and destruction of the Edomite race is coming down. By Shema Mashiach Yahushua. All right. These are the curses. When you go to Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 7, let's pull that out real quick. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 7. These are the curses being reversed. This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 7. And the Lord thy Yahweh will put all these curses upon thy enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecute thee. Right? So the Lord is transferring the curses of Deuteronomy 28 off of us and replacing it on our enemies. So now you're hearing our enemies yelling out at the top of their lungs, Jews shall not replace us.
It resurfaced in the 1970s with the neo-Nazi David Lane, who was eventually imprisoned and charged with participating in the assassination of a Jewish radio host. But in its modern form, Great Replacement theory was popularized by the French white supremacist Bruno Camus.
Well, I think there is an invasion. I think there is a colonization. Europe is colonized by Africa in a much more deeper way that Europe ever colonized Africa.
You hear that? He says Europe is being colonized by Africa way worse than when the colonizers came to Africa, man. We at the end of the world, man. We at the end of Esau's rulership. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning that follows, man. All right, we're going to pull 2 more precepts out, and we're going to close up, man. This is just a little exhortation of prophetic times that we're living in. We ought to stay focused, and don't be afraid when all hell break loose, because this hell ain't for us unless we are breaking the laws and leaving the faith of Yahweh Shai. Hey, this battle ain't for us to be afraid, but this battle is for us to get back where we belong, man. All right, so let's get these precepts out real quick. You know what I'm saying? This is Psalms chapter 4 and verse 2. O ye sons of man, how long will ye turn my glory into shame? How long will ye love vanity and seek after lessening? So we got to understand something. The Lord has turned their glory into shame. Because at once upon a time, all men on the earth glorified this man. And now all men on the earth despising this man. Let's prove that. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 14. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 4. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how has the oppressor seized? The golden city seized. Right? So he's saying different groups outside of Esau, hey, they're going to be shaking their hand at him on different reasons. All right, for the iniquity and atrocities that they had put on everybody's race, man, tribes. Let's get another one. All right, this is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 8. Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil you. Because of man's blood and for the violence of the land of the city and all that dwell therein. See that? Verse 9. Woe to him that covet an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. So this man wanna do evil and then be delivered from the power of evil. But it don't work like that. You don't do evil, destroy the earth, and expect to be saved off the earth. That's madness, man. All right, you had the physician, or what was that guy? He was not a physician, but he was dealing with mathematics. What's that dude's name? Can't think of his name right now, but he had mentioned before he died. What's his name? Hawkins, something Hawkins. He had mentioned before he died. He said we must leave the earth immediately. David, I think it's David Hawkins or something like that. Yeah, man. They got that spirit on them. Most I putting that spirit of fear on it, man. Verse 10 says, thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people. That's right. So let's get one more in Isaiah 14, man. So these are all prophecies that we're literally looking at right now as we speak. All right, so all praise to the Most High. This is Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 18. All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. Right? So every king, before Esau, they had a little glory. They talking about the mighty empires of Babylon even today. Egypt today. Rome today. Rome and these different things. But look, now they're saying, hey, you're not going to get that same glory that other empires had before. What type of glory they're going to get? Let's find out. Verse 19. But thou art cast out of the grave like an abominable branch. See that? He says, hey man, the grave ain't even going to honor you. So with that, I'm going to give all honor and all praise to the Most High in these last days. Stay focused, stay prayed up, fast, get into these precepts, get into the prophecies, stay woke. Hey, all praise to the Lord in these last days, man. This is another, matter of fact, it's another thing. It says that I had put the Edomite kingdom was given a power to rule that has an expiration date. All right, we talked about that in Genesis. All right, talk about that in Genesis, right? The expiration date means the ending of the fixed period for which a contract is valid, right? So that's we're gonna cut off right there. So shalom.